Welcome to Impact OC, the only program showcasing the people and organizations shaping Orange County. With your host, Don Camber.
Hello, live from the OC Talk Radio studios at UCI's Beal Applied Innovation Center. I'm OC Talk Radio Public Affairs Director Don Camber with another great guest impacting our community in a positive way. Today, I welcome One OC President and Chief Executive Officer Tim Strauch. One OC is a nonprofit resource and management services organization devoted to accelerating nonprofit success in Orange County. Thank you, Tim, for being on Impact OC.
Thanks, Don, for having me here today.
Tim, please explain how One OC provides solutions and support services to nonprofits and companies to help them reach their goals for the greater good.
Well, Don, how much time do you have? Because we could be speaking about this for the next probably couple of hours. But in a nutshell, One OC exists to accelerate nonprofit success. And just a quick story, I have over 35 years of background in the nonprofit sector, all in Orange County. I was born and raised in Laguna Niguel and had an opportunity to work for a nonprofit organization in my first 22 years here in Orange County that was part of a national nonprofit network. And growing up in that organization, I had made a lot of assumptions about what nonprofit resources, trainings, coaching, mentoring, conferences that I was able to attend. I thought that all nonprofits had these resources available to them. Fast forward 22 years, had an opportunity to work at an organization back then called the Volunteer Center, now One OC, starting in 2008. And boy, did I ever really get enlightened quickly about the nonprofit sector, that there's a lot of great nonprofits out there, but they don't know where to turn to. They didn't have the necessary resources, skills, and volunteers to really effectively deliver on their mission. And when my predecessor brought me on board, we really talked about what was possible in the community, what was missing in our nonprofits. And it wasn't that, again, we needed more nonprofits, it's to strengthen the ones we had. And how we could do that was actually providing more resources and services behind the scenes. So back office type services and management resource information to organizations that really maybe had the passion to working in the community, but maybe didn't have some of the all the necessary skills or maybe the management expertise. So our ultimate goal is, as we've evolved over the last, I would say, 12 to 14 years, is really being able to leverage more resources to our nonprofits so they can really spend their time effectively delivering on their mission.
So explain your clients.
So we have a variety of organizations you can imagine that we serve. The nonprofit sector, we have about 8,000 nonprofits here in Orange County. And I'd say 80% of them are less than 100,000 annual revenue. But there's still a good core group of organizations that range from anywhere from $500,000 to 1.5 million revenue, all the way up to what we call a mid-sized nonprofit, about 1.5 to 3 million, and then anything over 3 million in the nonprofit world is considered a large nonprofit. But we don't just serve the nonprofits. In order to effectively work with these organizations, we have to engage companies. And our companies, we engage them through, there's a lot of individuals still during a pandemic that want to serve and help nonprofits. They don't know where to turn to, which nonprofits need their skills. And so we work with over 150 companies here in Orange County each year to connect them with these nonprofits. And we also work with various government agencies to provide different types of initiatives into the community that are important for us to address these growing needs here in Orange County.
How are you able to help them and connect the two?
So it's through, we have a unique model in that we provide this connectivity through our service solutions. So we have service solutions for nonprofits that range everything from strategy through execution. And nonprofits, you can imagine, are at all different types of places on that continuum in terms of what their needs are. What do they need? Every organization in a nonprofit, just like any other small business, right? It's they're looking at maybe some ways that they can fill gaps, right? Or pain points that currently they have in an organization, that we reach out to them and either we can help train them, or actually we can help deliver that service for them as an outsourced shared services model. With companies, it's really making it easier for them to engage here in the community with our nonprofits. So there's ways that there's volunteer opportunities. There's ways of doing simple things like we have charitable giving cards that allow companies to brand a giving card that their employees, their vendors, or clients could give to their charity of choice. So we try to make it as easy as possible for people to, in the community, to give to our nonprofits, because we think that our nonprofits are key to addressing these growing issues that we have, especially what we've seen over the last 2 years during the pandemic. The nonprofits have been instrumental, and I don't think there's another sector that's better equipped and positioned to address these needs.
And what are some of the needs that you see overall that your nonprofits have been able to fulfill?
Wow. So I think we could talk about an array from issues of dealing with homelessness, right? Dealing with hunger. I mean, you got the basic fundamental issues of just survival that we're dealing with, all the way through issues of, well, one of the big things is mental health. So what are the types of services that nonprofits can deliver into the community that address these pain points? And I think they can do it in a really cost-effective manner.
So do you go to the nonprofit, or does the nonprofit go to a site to get this training?
So I think we've all learned a lot over the last couple of years, and before we had a lot of in-house type trainings that we offer, and we still do at 10C as we're starting to open up a little bit more, hopefully in the next several months. But we've learned that you have to meet organizations and people where they're at, and today, if we were to go to an organization and say let's get 150 people together in a room, we probably looked at with a jaundiced eye a little bit, right? Like, oh, what are you talking about? But we have over the last couple of years really bolstered up the ability to do more remote virtual training. And so it allows people to do these types of trainings and provide coaching and consulting type services that otherwise we would have to be, spending a lot of time traveling to and from organizations, gathering people together. We can do it in a much more efficient and effective manner.
What kind of staff do you have to do the trainings?
Yeah. So we're really fortunate at 10C that we do a lot of our organizational work where we work with a little over 1,100 nonprofits every year. And we do that with 30 people on staff total. And in the area of training, we have a heavy reliance as a former volunteer center where we do a lot of volunteer work, is that we have over 60 pro bono skill-based volunteer instructors that come in. Some of these instructors come from the for-profit world, but a lot of them actually come from executives and senior leadership of nonprofits, because we believe it's not just about the theoretical and conceptual learning, it's the practical application. Who better than those that are actually in the field working every day with these types of issues and how to address them than those that are doing it on a daily basis. So we've been really fortunate to get skill-based volunteers to play these roles, which allow us to provide a really cost-effective professional development experience for our nonprofit professionals. As I go back to when I was sharing earlier my story about how I got involved with 10C, and I realized quickly that there's this huge gap that most nonprofits, 80%, have nowhere to turn to. They don't have a national network. Where do they go? Well, they can go to 10C. They can go to 10C. So anytime, whether it's a community leader, a board member, a paid professional in a nonprofit, I always say, if you don't know where to turn, contact us.
How?
So the easiest way is to go to our website, 10c.org, and there's a contact us. You can fill out basic information on what you need, and we typically back to individuals within 48 hours in terms of the questions that they have.
By the same token, if a person wants to start a nonprofit, would they go to your organization so they can just do it right from the get-go?
Yeah, great question, Don. So When I first started at 10C, we have a program called Fiscal Sponsorship. So we actually have 50 community initiatives underneath our corporate umbrella. And they are led by funders, social entrepreneurs, people that don't actually want to start their own 501c3. But they have an initiative that meets a particular niche that no other nonprofit is currently operating. And why that's so important is we actually spend time with individuals that are interested in starting their 501c3. Yes, we have training courses. We offer them usually on a quarterly basis in partnership with the Public Law Center. But more importantly, we want to sit down and talk to individuals about what is their service delivery model? Finding out, is somebody already currently offering something similar that maybe they can partner with, a nonprofit that's already delivering on that service? Maybe we would first connect them with them to see if this is a particular program to be added on. And if they do want to start their own 501c3 nonprofit, we really want to sit down and talk to them about what does that really entail to be successful in running a nonprofit, because there's a lot of nuances. Nonprofits are very complex. And I have my own board of directors that I report to, made up of 25 members. And they're always amazed about the complexities of nonprofit work, the number of stakeholders, constituents you're serving, and how you do that is not for everyone. So we spend a lot of time with individuals interested in becoming their own 501c3 organization, really sitting down and talking about what is their mission, what's their purpose, what do they really want to achieve out of this, and what's the best service delivery pathway for them.
Are you able to connect some people to the existing nonprofits so they don't have to reinvent the wheel?
Yeah, that's something we've had some success with. The first step in the process, though, is sometimes people want to start an initiative because they have their own specific way of thinking about how to do things. And our belief is that although that can work and can be very effective, I think we want to ensure we build a level of trust with the individual we're speaking with, that they at least are open to having a conversation with these organizations that are doing existing type activity.
I dare ask, what do nonprofits do wrong that would make them need your services? What do nonprofits do incorrectly that would make them need your services?
Yeah. So I think we usually start there. And I think there's a perception of the nonprofit sector that there's a lot of nonprofits that they just have passion, but they're not really strong in terms of their business acumen. And I would say that much like the business sector, you're going to have some organizations that are extremely strong, that they could be running for-profit companies without question. And then you have a group that's probably solid, a group that's probably in the middle of the pack, and then you do have some bad apples, right? And as I've challenged those that have talked about the nonprofit sector in the past, I would say, is that any different than the for-profit sector in terms of what you see in terms of how businesses are run? So I would say that the things that people need depend upon every organization is a little different, Don. So when people come to us, they may have 2 or 3 things that they're looking for. It could be, we need help with board governance or board development work, because we have nonprofits are led by volunteer boards of directors. They may say, we need help with our back office support services. We need help with strategy and how we develop a 3-year plan. And so at 10C, we can help you from A to Z, but we really try to hear where folks are coming from and meet them where they're at. And ultimately what happens is, through a dialogue and a discussion, we learn that maybe the things that they're leading with, it takes us deeper into maybe some root issues or core areas that we maybe need to focus on first before we get to those other areas that they're challenged with.
What could be some of those root issues?
So I think the first is when we look at basic operating models of an organization. Do we have the most effective and efficient way of operating? Right now, clearly, it doesn't matter what sector we're talking about, the issue of talent acquisition and talent development. So nonprofits, we typically have been challenged prior to this this challenge with the labor force. We've struggled with the manager level. How do we take managers and where they're at today and coming into the organization and elevate them? How do we develop them professionally so that they become the next successors in the nonprofit sector in terms of our future leadership? There's areas of how do you best leverage volunteers. So it's not, anyone who will listen to me, Don, I've shared this with a number of nonprofits. I remember I had a conversation with a board of directors. I was doing a retreat with them last spring virtually. And I shared with them that there are more volunteers that are looking to serve in that organization than they could possibly deal with. And they were aghast with that comment. They're like, there can't be. We're desperate looking for volunteers. The volunteers don't know where to go. And then, unfortunately, when volunteers do get to the landing spot of that nonprofit, there's only about 15% of our nonprofits that are really fully equipped to really effectively leverage those volunteers throughout the entire organization. And so that's an opportunity for us as we look coming out of the pandemic into what I call our road to recovery. And if we believe, and I believe, clearly that the nonprofit sector is well positioned to address these issues, we're going to need volunteers. We're going to need not just hands-on people that are doing service projects, but skill-based volunteers that are willing to work on it and leverage their skill sets in particular projects or opportunities to, for instance, build a marketing plan or assist a nonprofit with their technology systems and so forth. Because a lot of our nonprofits can't afford to invest in those areas. But what if they could leverage more of our skill-based volunteers in our community? And I think that's the opportunity.
Now, can people volunteer with your organization, and can people connect with your organization to connect with other nonprofits to volunteer?
Absolutely. So we were founded in 1958, and the organization for its first 60 years was primarily a volunteer center.
Right.
So those interested in volunteering, whether it's, hey, I want to volunteer at a food bank and help pack food boxes, or I want to volunteer as a skill-based volunteer who works not just at the nonprofit, but can leverage my skills virtually. We at 10C have on our website a whole page of volunteer opportunities for individuals to go in, complete a simple 5-minute profile, and it's an opportunity to connect with those nonprofits. It's really that simple. We also have our National Days of Service. We have 4 of those a year. Easy ways for those that want to help in the community to give back to their nonprofits in 2 or 3 hour type of time blocks over Martin Luther King Day, Earth Day, 9/11 Day of Remembrance Service, and our season of giving in November, December. They have opportunities to give back in small ways, but those small ways all matter to our nonprofits.
Can you give us an overview of what a successful nonprofit does?
So I think I can answer that pretty quickly, Dawn, as I think that a nonprofit runs a full gamut in terms of their types of services they provide based upon their mission. The ultimate benchmark for any nonprofit is the simple question to be answered is, are we effectively delivering on our mission? So are we effectively delivering on what we're saying our calling is, our purpose of why we exist? It's not to reinvest in anything other than giving back to the community. A nonprofit is a community asset, and its number one benchmark is to say, how are we effectively delivering on our missions?
And if people want to get in touch with your organization again?
Yes, go to our website, oneoc.org, and we have all of our services lined out there. And if you'd like to contact us, we have a contact section there that feel free to complete that, and we're happy to get back to you.
Thank you, 1OC President and Chief Executive Officer Tim Strauch, for being on Impact OC. And I thank everyone for tuning in. I'm OC Talk Radio Public Affairs Director Dawn Camber. Have an impactful day.
You've been listening to Impact OC, the only program showcasing the people and organizations shaping our community. right here on Orange County's only community radio station, OC Talk Radio.